Making $500 a day in this market is actually relatively easy. Do that for 30 days straight. That's $15,000 a month. Not only that, but that is fantastic money. No matter who you are or where you are in the world, that is life-altering money. Now, before we actually dive in to these 3 steps, I'm gonna tell you right now, make sure you watch the whole entire video from start to finish, because you're going to grasp and understand a lot of these concepts, because I'm gonna break it down very simply. But first thing is first, let's just dive right into it. Now, to really dive into this, here's my friend Struggling Pep. So let me dive into exactly what this is and how this categorizes the first class of beginner traders, and then I'll show you Chad Pepe. And again, this is very important and you'll understand why. First thing is first is a lot of beginners think that, hey, I have a $100 balance, I'm going to be able to go ahead, go in, double the account. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily how easy it is. In theory, yes, it should work where, I can double my account with safe trades. But technically speaking, double a $100 balance, you're going to need to risk pretty much everything you have in order to go ahead and be able to double it relatively fast. So even trying going and hitting a 1% day over day is only $1 on 100. Now that right there isn't why you're here, right? So this is pretty bad because everybody's going to go out there that typically put in a very small amount to start off with and always traditionally over leverage. Now don't really get too confused about this, is that every single broker offers a 1 to 50 up to 1 to 1,000. Traditionally it's like 1 to 200 to 1 to 500 leverage on whatever you deposit, and they'll sometimes offer a double your deposit. Again, all of these are kind of traps to ensnare the beginner to say, I'm going to use this broker because I get to double my money, knowing that a lot of people actually end up losing or blowing their account. What's going to happen here, and what typically does happen, is that people over leverage and try to double the account relatively fast, and it's just not going to work with a low balance like that. But now the second type of person is the Chad Pepe. Now here's the thing with Chad, okay, is that Chad thinks, I'm the man. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to borrow money from everybody under the sun. I'm going to borrow 20K. Now here's the thing, with 20K, you put it into a live account and you go out there and you start trading. Now, yes, 1% is really, really good on 20K day in and day out. However, that means you're also going to be over leveraging yourself trying to trade those higher position lot sizes, the 0.5s, the 1.0, etc., because the leverage makes it a little bit extra cushiony, if you will. So what happens, he ends up blowing his account due to certain trades or revenge trading, and it just doesn't end up too well. And everyone cries and he quits, and now we're back to square one, and everything you're going to learn here from step 1, 2, and 3 is pretty much what you're going to need to revert back to. So rather than going out there and starting from a negative standpoint, let's go out there and start correctly. So the first thing that I actually like to do, this is very, very simple. It is a strategy that I follow. It's one of the most basic, not advanced, that you can learn. And again, once we get into step 1, 2, and 3, then this will really start to play out for you. Now there's so many strategies way more advanced than this, but when I was a beginner just learning, I've just followed very simple strategies to follow because I believe in a very simple motto, the KISS method, right? So keep it simple. I realize you don't need all of these indicators where it's just popping the entire screen with a bunch of charts and useless lines when you can keep it relatively really simple. So the first thing that I actually like to do is, no matter what I'm charting, whether it's crypto or Forex, etc., I actually like to go ahead and use a parallel channel. So just a channel, whether it's descending or ascending based on the current market condition. So in this case right over here, you could see that it was a descending channel. Now, what exactly happens with a descending channel? Well, it's pretty simple. You'll notice that I set the channel to the top of this particular wick that I'm actually tracking because we're on the daily. Then I proceed to set it to the lowest wick in that time frame, and I start to monitor the channel. You'll notice that it starts to bounce, right? It goes ahead and starts bouncing within this channel. But once it breaks the actual channel, then that's a clear indication for me to potentially get into a trade. But again, I'll also use a moving average, a very simple indicator, this yellow line over here. So once I can see that it also breaks out of the moving average, breaks above the moving average, and also goes above this particular channel that I went ahead and mapped out, and it goes above this particular channel that I went ahead and charted, then I'll simply go ahead and enter the trade. But there's a few speculations that I want to go ahead and dive into, which starts me off with number 1. The first thing I want you to do is stop trading for the next 30 days on a live account. Now, there's actually 2 specific strategies that people go out there and do, and I suggest the latter. The first one is individuals use funded accounts. Individuals actually use funded accounts. Now, what funded accounts is exactly as it says. You pass a challenge, you get a funded account. etc. So again, this is leveraging other people's money, essentially prop firms here, and you'll be able to use their money and the profit is split. You get the whole idea. But before you even get into that and leveraging other people's money, you should always consider demo accounts. So basically paper trading. So paper trading gives you that extra buffer room to learn and see if your actual strategies are performing and performing correctly, properly, and they're getting the results that you want. Now, here's the thing when it comes down to results is I would always suggest having a minimum and a maximum drawdown that you're going ahead and mentally setting for yourself. Typically, I will go ahead and risk 1% in order to go ahead and make up to 2%. That's pretty much where I'm going to stay with any balance that I have, because I don't want to over leverage and I definitely don't want to blow the account. And again, this also comes with time, learning to discipline yourself and not revenge trading. So if you lose a trade, you don't want to just get into another trade to try to recoup, because if you're down, so let's just say you're down, you're going to have to essentially hit a 200% ROI or win percentage essentially in order to go ahead and even recoup what you lost in the first place and essentially break even. So again, this is something very important. You always want to start off with paper trading. It's the smartest route to go down. Now, number two is when you're paper trading and you're learning different strategies, especially like one that I just showed you, you always want to make sure you're keeping consistent notes of winners, losers, and why they were winners, why they were losers, and how you can replicate it again in the future. Because again, just because you have a good streak of 1, 2, or 3 days where you're profitable doesn't mean that it's going to be continual forever and ever. A lot of times the market can just be really favorable for your strategy at the time, and you're always going to have to learn to pivot and learn new strategies consistently, get familiar with market patterns. There's so much that goes on. However, but how exactly do we shortcut our particular investment strategy to get to that $500 plus per day? Well, it's actually pretty interesting because we utilize something very unique that not a lot of people actually utilize as well. And this is available to literally anybody and everybody around the world. But this is, again, another form of, it's actually a really unique strategy because it involves artificial intelligent algorithms that do all the trading for you. And your capital is always liquid, which is really cool. But one of the things that I really like is the compounding effect, which I'll show you in just a few moments, from these particular platforms. However, the only drawdown is that it's pretty volatile, so you do have to make sure you're paying really close attention. But the other thing is this. Now, what's really cool is when you're using platforms like this, you can see when they enter trades and when they get out of trades automatically. And not only that, but it's also available if you have the MT4, MT5 app on your phone, you're able to cross-reference these as they happen and even take a look inside of your account and see the actual profit coming in as well as it trades automatically for you. But again, one of the key things to see is the actual trades and how they're setting it up, how they're hedging. So you can learn from this as well. But this gets even cooler. Check this. I just loaded up this particular account with roughly $2,890 or so. And I literally did it a few hours ago, not even. And we have multiple different accounts here. However, you can see that just today alone, now this percentage isn't something to, be so obsessed over, but take a look at this. Right down here, using the same exact AI algorithm, you can see in October alone, 15.8, November 41, December 12.1. In total, since utilizing this particular AI artificial algorithm trader for Forex, where we deposit, and yes, I've withdrawn already as well. There's two things that I really like about this is number one, I get to actually see how it works, what it's doing, and kind of just get an idea of how the trades are being set up and what the AI is doing, because it's a lot smarter. But not only that, the second thing is I actually get to let our capital grow for us as I'm learning, because like I said, I can actually track these trades as well and see it in real time happening on my phone and learn from it. Very important, I learn from it. So if you want to learn a lot more about that, take a look in the description, because I'm not gonna sit here and just try to shove this down your throat. I'm just giving you different ideas here. This is very powerful. Actually, we put, I would say roughly 80 to 85% of our personal portfolio inside of AI tools like this that work extremely well. It's time tested and it's actually really, really simple. However, take a look in the description. There's more info about this particular AI and you can learn everything about it, as well as all the other resources resources as well. And make sure you join our Telegram community because I'm going to be posting daily updates every single day on how we're performing and actually show you results. So Telegram's going to be so important for you to track everything up to date and make sure that you can watch as it happens live. Now, before I close out, just to reiterate my point is that right over here, as I said, with the parallel channel and how we kind of track this and go ahead and proceed with trades, I actually want to play this out and show you exactly how this worked and how well it actually went. So you can see, obviously this is the daily, by the way. So as we can see, it's bouncing within the actual channel, no movement really, but here we go. It starts to break out right over here. The moment it breaks out, I enter the trade because we can see that it closed the daily above the moving average as well as it actually went ahead and crossed out of our descending channel, broke out of it and started to push to the upside. That was my clear indicator. But not only that, what I like to do always, if I'm going to enter right over here, I'm looking for that 2% or so, like I mentioned. But again, if the market is primed to make more just from the news that's coming out, just from what's happening around the world as well, because news plays a huge impact and factor on a lot of trades that are happening every single day. So again, if I just let it play out, we can see that it obviously goes ahead and starts to correct, but it just keeps on pushing. And now we are out of this descending and I will have to rechart it to actually push to see where this goes. So again, as you can see, we're currently in real time. This is the daily and it did exactly as predicted as well. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you take a look in the description for all the links. Smash a like and subscribe. If you have comments, questions, concerns, just let us know in the comments down below. And congratulations for going through this entire video. And I can't wait to see and hear about your results. See you, everybody.